What is going on, YouTube people? Northeast Ohio Cards and Comics back from vacation. I know for all you people, it was like I never left because I had videos pre-recorded ahead of time. Except for Saturdays, I recorded yesterday's NBA market update video in the old hotel room on Friday night on the way home. But yeah, wife and I took a little trip up to New England, little Maine, little New Hampshire, little Vermont, and had the pleasure of also swinging through Cooperstown. So I took a little trip to the Baseball Hall of Fame as well. If you want to find the most overpriced baseball card shops in the country, proceed to Cooperstown, New York, where you could get a PSA 9 Mike Trout for about $1,800 or some Vlad refractors about 50 or about 100% over comps. Yeah, it was fun times. The Hall of Fame was really cool. I'd been there when I was a kid, but it had been a long time since I was there. New England was really great. We loved New England in the winter or in the fall. And the card shops were comical. I didn't spend a lot of time in those, just kind of walked through, checked them out. But yeah, Hall of Fame was good. Trip was good. Nice to get away. This is I don't count last night. This is the first real recording that I've had back on the old home office and not on the laptop. I was glad nothing crazy happened. So hope everyone had a good week. Feel refreshed. Some newsy stuff to get caught up on. This will probably be a little newsier heavy Sunday video than market chit chat. I do have some charts pulled up and some stuff I want to talk about, but some things have happened that, I was out of the loop on that I probably normally would have recorded stuff on if I was home. Nothing too crazy, but some stuff definitely went down. So like, comment, subscribe. We're going to go ahead and dive in. But first, today's video, as they sometimes are, is sponsored. And today's sponsor is MySlabs.com. I've talked about them a bunch. Great platform for buying and selling. 1% seller fees, 1% buyer fees, 3% PayPal goods and services. Much, much better than eBay. I actually just recently sold, right before I left on vacation, actually. I had the Baker Immaculate CSG slab that I had, the 8.5 that I bought right before the National. Bought it for $400 on eBay and actually sold it on my slabs for right about $600. And the nice thing there is, you save 10% on the fees, so it gives you a little bit more wiggle room on what you could sell it for. And a card like that really doesn't have comps, so it's not like there's comps to base it on. I just kind of threw it up and waited for some offers to roll in. I got one for $600 and slammed accept. Made a nice about $180, $185 profit after fees and taxes, or after fees and shipping rather. So yeah, all good on that one. So quick word from our sponsor, and then we will dive into some newsy stuff. So we'll be right back.
Tired of paying 10%, 15%, or more to sell your cards, comics, and digital collectibles? How does 1% sound? Too good to be true? Well, not anymore. MySlabs.com is the web's premier user-driven marketplace for buying and selling slabbed cards, sealed wax, and now slabbed comics and digital collectibles. So the next time you're forced to pay 10% or more to sell something from your collection, head over to MySlabs.com and join the 1% revolution.
Once again, thanks to the folks over at MySlabs for sponsoring today's video. Newsy stuff first. PWCC. Their auctions have launched. I have not done, I need to dig more into this. I understand that they have some features, some new shenanigans going on with like overtime bidding. And if two people bid in the last so much time, those two can continue to bid, but just those two. There's all sorts of nonsense going on. As we've talked about a bunch, PWCC was booted off of eBay for, in air quotes, shill bidding, which, was probably happening on some of their stuff. But guess what? Shill bidding is still running rampant on eBay, and they haven't removed anybody else that we're aware of. I see plenty of other large sellers. We won't name any names. But I see plenty of other large sellers auctions getting shilled, and it could be this, it's not necessarily the seller's fault. They might not have control over it. That's the whole point. But I don't see them getting booted off the platform. I mean, it was clear. We've talked about this a ton. It was clear cut that the reason PwC got the boot was because this was coming. eBay knew it was coming, and they struck first in a purely PR move, which is fine. Great business practice. But if, let's call a spade a spade. Um, nothing that crazy was happening here that isn't still happening on the platform now, and they're not doing anything about that. So they're not the white knight that we all, kind of thought that they were when they booted PWCC from the platform. I actually do not have a PWCC account. I have never used them. I mean, I've bought from them when they were on eBay. So I guess I'm going to need to make one because there's probably going to be a card I'm going to be interested in at some point in time. Whether I buy or sell from their site, I don't know. But I at least want to be prepared in the event something comes up that I really like. So I should probably get that squared away. But yeah, that launches. That stuff's up. They're doing it kind of like they did before, where there's set days for certain things. And, baseball starts on this day and goes for 7 days, and then this thing and that thing and the next thing. So I need to do a little bit more digging into that. That broke right in the middle of the week last week. And like I said, normally I probably would have just did a standalone video on it, but traveling and recording, not always the best. I had the laptop with me in an extreme emergency situation if something absolutely nutty happened. While this was newsworthy, I didn't think it reached to the nutty level. So, and I was on vacation, so I was trying not to record content as much as possible. Let's get into some other stuff. PSA was in the news. Good old Wax Museum. Absolutely fantastic podcast, by the way, and website. But podcast, absolutely great. I've been listening to the Wax Museum podcast long before I was creating content. Really, really good stuff. Much more collector mentality than investor/flipper. Has really good stories, though, and kind of a historian of the hobby. The other thing that he does, for those that don't know, he has an RPA tracker where he tracks key RPAs of key players over the years. Whenever they surface, he records them and then has that as like a catalog to reference. Well, a Kawhi Leonard RPA got posted for sale on Golden. He compared it to his list and found out that the autograph was filled in. You can see it here on his IG post. I will try to remember to link to this down below, but you just search Wax Museum on IG, it pops right up. And then it ended up getting graded by PSA, receiving a 10 on the auto. So it is a real, well, in air quotes, a real Leonard auto, but then it was filled in after the fact to cover up the streakiness. Why someone would do the amount of greed that you have to take the chance on this on a Kawhi Leonard RPA is beyond me. Just because you don't want the 9 auto grade. Just send it to PSA and don't have him grade the auto. Not that crazy. Instead, you do something stupid like this. Card Porn ended up doing a deeper dive on this that, I don't want to lose sight of. I don't want to go that deep down the rabbit hole, but I would recommend checking that out as well. Kind of going into, they think they found the person that was doing this and how they altered some other cards and a whole bunch of Card Porn and Wax Museum craziness. So, but I wanted to bring attention to this just to make sure that everyone saw it. Once again, people probably have seen this already. It's been making the rounds all week. I'm just playing catch up. Next, and this just happened on Friday, so this is actually newer. Once again, I probably would have recorded a video on this, but just wasn't around to do it. Didn't have the opportunity to do it. HGA has announced new pricing and I believe new turnaround times. And then there was some posts to go along with this. I would encourage you to read them. To me, they came off a little snark. I don't know. Just a little snarky. I don't use HGA, obviously. But we do have price increases. I believe turnaround times got a little bit slower. They cited the amount of custom labels that they're doing and the time that it takes to do that. So I believe the price went up on that quite a bit as well. Just scrolling through some of the replies on both Twitter and on IG, it does appear they are running pretty far behind. A lot of people were not very happy with how many days over they were on current submissions. One of my favorite ones was, we're 10 days. I thought it meant thought HGA was where 10 days means 10 days because their big claim to fame early on was the whole turnaround time thing and meeting turnaround times and throttling again. And their queue's been wide open, so they haven't been filling the spots on the queue. I mean, maybe they need a stricter queue to crack back down on that to get caught up. Once again, you can read through this on their Twitter page. This is the new pricing here. And then they go through and give some details on what is going on here. Once again, a little snark. I mean, I don't know that they know the processes from the other companies. They talk about our process is more in depth than any other grading company. Is it? I mean, I don't know that we know that. I don't know that they know that. Other companies, especially those without subgrades, can be 4 times more efficient in timing. That's what they're citing as what's causing the backlog. They also cite the amount of custom labels, rounds of COVID, which everyone's had to deal with. I get that. Over the next 3 weeks, we have the most customs due out, more coming in. We are 2 to 3 days behind currently, and may fall 7 to 10 days behind over the next 3 weeks. We'll be adding counter to our website to show current business days to complete. And then some people in the comments were basically saying that you're way more than 2 to 3 days behind current. Once again, I don't know. I've never used them. They're allowing minimum grades. Sincerely, Tyler. And once again, I would encourage you to read the full post. And I would also encourage you to read the comments on the IG post and on the Twitter page. They are fun, to say the least. Air quotes, fun. I think that knocks out all the newsy stuff that I wanted to hit on. So with that being said, let's dive into Market Movers. Once again, Market Movers, link in the description down below. Coupon code, all that jazz. The tool of choice that we use around here for all of our data needs. Start with baseball, briefly touch on football, and briefly touch on the NBA since I just did an NBA video yesterday. So we're going to look at a couple individual players, but I just kind of want a macro chat about baseball. I believe now is a really good time to start focusing for non-playoff players. Let me rephrase. For non-playoff players, if you don't have your list together and you don't have your saved searches together for the cards and the players that you're looking for non-playoff players, specifically auctions, you need to start doing it. Because in my mind, and I haven't done a full deep dive on this yet because I was gone for the last week, it feels like we're heading into the bottom part of a lot of players' stuff. I actually picked up mail day video coming this week, probably on Tuesday. I just picked up a nice, very nice Tatis refractor, not a base refractor, but a different refractor from 2019 Topps Chrome. So I'll show that on Tuesday. And a lot of my eBay save searches are all baseball stuff and all auctions. I'm not even looking at bins / buy it nows. I glance at them over on my slabs, but most of the eBay stuff's pretty inflated. You got to kind of wait out an auction. So I have a list of about 5 to 6 players that I'm keeping an eye on, and certain different cards that I'm looking for specifically. Some bigger, some just base refractors. There's 2 particular cards I would really like to get my hands on. I think I might have missed the window on one, and I may have missed the window on another one. We'll see. I am planning on attending. I am jonesing for a larger show. I'm going to try to hit the Ship Shawana show up in Indiana. If anyone has feedback on that show, let me know in the comments down below. I've never been to it. It's in the first weekend in November, and they're having a trade night the night before. It's 160 tables in the middle of Amish country in northern Indiana, not too terribly far away from Notre Dame. So I think I'm going to hit that show. I have not been able to, just the way all these shows have fallen and travel, I have not been able to make it happen. But this one I think I'm going to shoot for since it's not too terribly far away from me. I could be there in about 4 hours, so I could just drive it. So if anyone has feedback on the Ship Shawana show, please let me know in the comments down below. But the time to buy baseball is quickly approaching. I think this is about to be the window here. A lot of the focus is on the guys that are in the playoffs. A lot of the focus is on football, and most of the focus is on basketball. I talked about the basketball market in yesterday's video, but a lot of eyes are starting to turn that way, and it's going to keep going as the season approaches. We are, at time of recording for me, 11 days. At time of viewing this, probably 10 days away. maybe 9 days away from opening night in the NBA. So more and more eyeballs are going to shift that way when Ja Morant starts dropping 30 on people. And they're going to be forgetting about Vlads and Sotos and Tatises and those guys. So, but the playoffs are here and people are responding. There are a couple guys going crazy. Good old Randy. Hero of last year's playoffs and crazy card prices. And guess what? He's back. His stuff's up a lot. I just chose his PSA 10 base refractor from Topps Chrome 2020. I could have picked any number of his cards. They are all going up. This one is up 37% over the last 7 days, from $70 to $95. And some of his stuff has shot up a lot more. Some of his bigger cards, more rare cards, are all way up. He's basically Mr. October now. Every time the playoffs rolls around, he just starts doing crazy stuff. It is wild. Another one having a pretty good series so far, Yordan Alvarez. He's just been smashing the baseball. Over the last 14, he's only up a few percent, but if you look at the last 7, he's had a much bigger increase. But he's sitting right around $100 for his base refractor now. I have a couple of his pinks. I actually need to list them for sale. I'm going to look to move what I have of him while the market's looking for him actively. I have 2 PSA 10 pink refractors that I need to check comps on and get posted up probably on my slabs and on IG or something and try to move them. So if anyone's a big Yordan fan, slide into the old DMs. I have 2 pink PSA 10s that I'm looking to move. I actually bought those off eBay raw and then graded them myself from through Card Collector too and smashed 10s on both of them. So felt pretty good about that one. But yeah, Yordan, very hot name here in the old baseball playoffs. And then one player that I just picked out, I was looking at guys dipping. Ohtani, this is over the last 30 days, and this is most likely with an MVP award coming. It's so baked into his prices already. This is his PSA 10 Topps Chrome Refractor. We've talked about this card a bunch. Over the last 30 days, it is down nearly 30%, a $245 drop from $855 to $610. I imagine it gets a little very teeny tiny bump back up once the MVP is official. And then I think it probably goes right back down again. He is one that, depending on where it got to, I would be intrigued. If the Angels can pull off a good offseason, I don't know if they can or not, get healthy, get Trout correct. And if they can actually put a winning team on the field, I think his prices would be absolutely insane. But the Angels in the playoffs are allergic to each other, and they just do not mix for whatever reason. They cannot catch a break. But Ohtani is one of the guys that I'm definitely keeping an eye on his prices as we move into the offseason. Remember, I know that's still the playoffs going on in baseball, but for most of the league, it's now the offseason. So start targeting guys that may switch teams, big free agents. Look at last year. Lindor left, went to the Mets from the Indians. Saw a huge price increase based off that. Find those guys. Who's on the trade block? Who's a big free agent that's going to switch teams? And if their stuff is low, you can almost guarantee a nice price spike just based off the news alone. So, football's all over the place. It's kind of almost listless at this point in time of the season, if that makes sense. Some guys are way down. The guys that are drastically underperforming, Baker most notably, is down quite a bit. But there's some surprising names that are down. And I mentioned this on a community post the other day, but Mahomes is dropping quite a bit. This is Mahomes. I went back 30 days on this. So basically from the start of the season. This is his PSA 10 Optic Base, Optic Hollow PSA 10, and his Silver Prism PSA 10. Silver Prism has remained steady at 3%. That's not super surprising. It's a pretty low pop card. They don't change hands a ton, and they're pretty pricey. So I get why that one's staying semi-solid. I should have checked PSA 9s on that. But his Optic Hollow PSA 10 is down 20%, and his Optic Base is down 21%. Now, this video is being recorded Saturday night to be posted Sunday morning. Sunday Night Football is a doozy of Chiefs versus Bills. They have a legitimate shot to lose that football game. If they lose that game, they're 2-3, and his prices could continue to slide. If they win, they may bounce right back, or they may steady and stop the decline. I don't know. But this is very reminiscent of the same pattern that Mahomes stuff went through last year. It came up into the season extremely high, dipped down. He was a little dinged up. They were playing kind of mediocre, just basically toying with teams waiting for the playoffs to start, and then went on a massive run. I could see the same thing happening here. The question is where is the bottom and where do you buy in at? It is also a little high risk because if they don't make, say they don't make the playoffs, or they make the playoffs and lose in the first round or second round, they basically have to make the Super Bowl because he has so much baked in expectations wise. They absolutely could do it, but it's a little bit of a dangerous game. Maybe I would look at this is me personally, just because of the price points. Maybe I would look at PSA 9s bases of the optic base, or maybe even a PSA 9 of the optic hollow, depending on the price on that, on the dip, and roll the dice that they can make it to the Super Bowl. But the AFC is deep. They are very, very deep. So we'll see what happens. But if you are in the Mahomes market, you're rooting for a loss on Sunday Night Football, because if they lose, I think his stuff continues to fall. Now, the quarterback that he's going against, Josh Allen, this is his PSA 10 Prism over the last 2 weeks. It's down 20%, from 980 to 770 PSA 10 Prism base. I would love to use the silver for this, but silver from 2018 are ultra rare. Most of the pop counts are in the 20s on silvers for the key quarterbacks. You're not finding them, so it's pointless to use them for comps. But base Prism is still extremely well respected in football. Pop counts are low. On this, it's only 1,100, almost 1,200. That's not that many in the grand scheme of things, but it's down 20%. I'm going to repeat exactly what I just said with Mahomes. If he loses on Sunday Night Football to the Chiefs, this could continue to dive. There could be a nice Allen dip to buy into. If they win, it could bounce right back up again, or it could just stop the dip and remain flat. That would put them at 3-2 with a nice win under their belt. Either way, whichever quarterback loses, I would be watching auction prices on those cards if you're interested in them. Do your research, all the normal, stuff applies, do your homework. But if you're intrigued by those players already, whatever one loses, I would go look at a bunch of their auctions that are ending later that night, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or new things being posted before the next game plays, and see if, a good deal slips through the cracks. All it takes is someone to forget the bid, whatever, and you get a good deal on something. So just kind of keep that in mind coming out of Sunday Night Football. One of those guys is going to be 2-3. So, interesting times there. Moving over to basketball, we talked about Jordan Poole already in Saturday's video, and I only pulled a couple basketball cards to look at because I just did the basketball video yesterday. His PSA 10 Prism Silver continues to soar. It's up to $400 now. That's up from even just yesterday's video when I recorded it. Started the week off at $200, and if you go back a little further than that, it was obviously a lot lower than that, but up a full 100% right now at $399. Now, Jordan Poole is an interesting one because of the fact it's a lot of his value depends on what happens with Klay Thompson. Because when Klay Thompson goes back, he could go back to being sixth man of the year. Someone in my comments yesterday mentioned, well, what happens if Klay gets hurt again? And, that is in play, but I would rather just take the profits now and not worry about carrying a lot of his stuff in the season, or better yet, you have multiples and you could sell some off. Now, I own no Jordan Poole. I have no skin in this game. I sold my Jordan Poole stuff last year when he had a couple big games in the run up to the playoffs to get them into the play-in game. When he was playing extremely well, his stuff spiked up really nicely, and I sold everything that I had then. He is a very talented player. He is getting a lot of buzz from NBA pundits. Zach Lowe's been talking him up. A lot of the other ESPN guys, Ringer guys, are all talking him up on the NBA podcast circuits. And he has a really good opportunity to play. Once again, we'll see what happens when Klay comes back. I'm of the mind that just take the money. You know, if you're in the pool, you're probably into them super cheap. Don't get cute, or get cute on one card and sell off 5 if you were smart and bought multiples of it if you truly believed in the player. That way you can make all your money and some back on that stuff, and then you can roll the dice on 1 or 2. That's just me. Once again, I tend to be very risk averse, and I would just rather take the profits. If I made 100%, I mean, look at this. If you were into the card for $200, you could have just bought it 7 days ago for $200 and sell it today for 400. It literally went up 100% in a week. That's like insane. If you could do that with anything in life, you would do it 100 times out of 100. Now, why all of a sudden are you going to get greedy with it and be like, nah, I'm waiting for it to go to 455. Could it? Yes, absolutely. 100% could. And if you want to roll the dice, you roll the dice, you do you. But the season could start. He could play okay, but if he's not completely dominating, the NBA market's going to forget about him very quickly. He's going to need to keep putting up large scoring numbers, which maybe he could do, but with Steph there, I don't know. We'll see. I'm just, on guys like this, I would rather just take the money and move on. Then I would rather just have the $400 and go put that into something bigger, better, and badder than Jordan Poole silver rookies. So that's just me. Just kind of wanted to go a little deeper dive on some thought processes when guys like this pop off. So, but he is definitely now, I mentioned it in yesterday's video. He's in the Heisman house now. That's what I'm calling it. The Heisman house on ESPN for all the Heisman Trophy winners. He is officially a hobby darling now. He is in the halls with Bull, Taylor Horton Tucker, KPJ, and a bunch of others. In fact, maybe I'll make a video that's just like the hall of hobby darlings. That might be fun to do for the lead up to basketball season. Because there's just like this set of players that if they just have like one good game, their prices quadruple for a week. The hobby just loves this little group of players. I don't know what it is. But Bull is the king. He sits on the throne in the Heisman house of the hobby darlings. Him and KPJ are probably his right-hand man. Got Keldon Johnson running around there. There's a bunch of other ones. So maybe I'll put a little list together. The only other thing that I want to talk about was Zion. Just a quick check-in on the Zion market. This is his PSA 10 Optic Holo and his PSA 10 Silver Prism. I went back a month on these cards. He's one of the few guys that is down heading into the season. A lot of guys are up, especially when you're talking about silver and holos. Zion is definitely trending downward slowly, and I'm guessing it's because of the broken foot. I think the broken foot spooked people, and I think people don't like the idea of him not being able to work out all summer, and now all of a sudden coming in, we don't really know if he's 100% going to be ready for opening day, and then what kind of shape is he going to be in. Zion very well could start extremely slow. If he is not ready for opening day, and then he is not in shape, and they limited his minutes and start doing all that crap, there could be, once again, I do not like buying and holding Zion long term. These are the exact reasons why is this nonsense. He's an extremely talented player. He's really good. I don't like dealing with this stuff. But on a quick flip perspective, if any of those things that I just laid out happens where, he's hurt, slow to start the season, whatever, and his prices continue to fall, there's going to be a point where it makes sense to buy in and hold him short term, because eventually he'll get back and going, and then his prices will go back up again, and you could probably reap the rewards on that and quick flip his stuff in season. I would not be looking to hold his stuff long term. He's just not a player that I want to be holding on the stuff. I own very little Zion. In fact, I think the only Zion I own is a base mosaic PSA 10. That's it. I think that's the only mosaic, or the only slabbed Zion that I own. I had a pink camo but sold it, or traded it for a Luka. So that's all I have for you guys and girls today. Once again, check out the sponsor, My Slabs. Let me know if you have any details on the Ship Shawana show, good, bad, or indifferent. Let me know who your NBA hobby pet project players are that belong in the Heisman Hall with Bull and KPJ and Keldon Johnson and Jordan Poole. Like, comment, subscribe. Enjoy Sunday football. That's all I got for you guys and girls. Peace.